Good morning. So, effective governance is very important for sports organizations today. The immense competition in the Olympic sport program, as well as the responsibility of these federations to conform with their status as Olympic federations, are two important reasons. Our team, comprising of Alan Chamorro, Jisuk Che, and myself, Neha Maheshwari, were mandated by the World Taekwondo Federation to undertake the M&A ranking model. I'd like to mention here that we'll refer to the World Taekwondo Federation as a WTF in this presentation, and M&A refers to member national associations of the WTF, and it has 206 such members. Before we move ahead, I'd like to share the background of this project. In the year 2010, Mr. Horst Rafferty, the president of the WTF Expansion Committee, conceptualized this project. The WTF Expansion Committee comprises of presidents and secretary generals of its continental unions. In the year 2012, this project was presented to its General Assembly and thereafter adopted and incorporated in its bylaws. Early this year in 2014, our MSA AISTS team was assigned this project to take forward the framework mentioned in the bylaws and lead it towards operationalization. So the M&A ranking bylaws, as mentioned earlier, have two main objectives. One is the harmonization of its members, of the 206 members of the WTF, as well as enhancing its governance towards aligning it with the IOC strategies. So we had three project objectives. One was to benchmark the existing models, to recommend criteria, and to recommend the implementation design. I'd like to here clarify that presenting a pilot-tested model and a physical ranking model was not within the scope of this project. So the steps that we took in this project included data collection and a SWOT analysis of the WTF. Also, to understand the sport better, the team volunteered at the Swiss Taekwondo Championship at Lausanne, which is an official G1 event, grade 1 event. We also had numerous conference calls and interviews with the different stakeholders of the WTF. The prominent ones are Mr. Corwin from the WTF Expansion Committee, Mr. Moon, who is the IOC member from Korea and also a Taekwondo Olympic medalist, as well as Mr. Yunus, who is the Secretary General of the Swiss Taekwondo. We also reviewed the existing sport models, which will be touched upon by Alan further in this presentation. And lastly, we used the internal expertise of two of our team members, Alan Chamorro as the president of the Rugby Union of Nicaragua, and Jisuk Che in his capacity as the general manager of Special Olympics Korea. Now I hand it over to Alan to take forward this presentation.
Thank you, Neha. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, as Neha mentioned earlier, we're here to deliver a ranking tool. So WTF, our client, requested how to evaluate and measure their membership. So what I'm going to speak to you today, right now, is how we got this done. So the first thing we did was look into other models. We looked into the FIFA model, we looked into the rugby model. As we saw, lots of the things that we were finding are rankings based on performance. And what we were looking for is a ranking that's based on governance and that complies a whole 360 degrees of everything to measure and evaluate the members of the WTF. So what we did was, first of all, we had first-hand user access to the Taekwondo Canada model. Now this is a model that measures the performance of provincial associations of Canada. Once we went into there, we extracted some criteria that we then applied into our big model. We looked also into the Special Olympics model. This is Special Olympics International. We also had a first-hand user experience from this, thanks to Jisuk, and where we saw all the parameters and metrics that Special Olympics is using to evaluate performance on its members. We also had access to a National Sports Institute of Nicaragua and how they evaluate and measure their national federations. So that was really helpful. And finally, we looked into the BIPGIS. The BIPGIS is an assessment tool by Dr. Chapelet and Dr. Mirkonich. What this tool does is pretty much is a basic indicator for better governance in international sports. So this tool, interestingly, has trial applications also that they applied in IOC and FIFA, which made us a lot easier to look into. Now, let's remember, these are the four pillars of how we managed to construct and develop our ranking tool. So what I'm pretty much giving you is an intro on how we built this model. So, what do we do next? over these 4 models, we started looking into criteria. We started finding similar criteria over and over in all of them. So what we decided to do is group them into 5 main categories. We categorized them: project development, governance and management, membership, financial performance, and marketing. If you see down, each pillar has a weight. So what we did, for example, to let me clarify you this with a better example. If you look into the pillar of project development, there are a set of criteria that were found in the other models we looked into. And for example, under project development, you can find the criteria grassroots development. So if grassroots development was present in a lot of the models, it would be categorized under this pillar, and therefore this pillar has a bigger weight because most of the criteria are contained there. So at the end, what we're looking for is a model that allows us to measure and evaluate according to a criteria we found. So for example, if you see membership, this is the pillar of membership. If you go in it, just imagine a simple platform where you would access it and you would see the pillar membership, and under membership you would have registered athletes and registered officials. According to that, you would give an answer. It could be yes or no, it could be numeric, and under that, there are indicators on each one of them that allow you to measure them, and at the end, what we want is a score. Now, we can go into Q&As because I know it's a little complex to understand just like this, so we can go further into it. But the idea is, this is how we build our model. So our model is basically, is merely built on criteria found in other models. We managed to build it, we grouped it, we distributed a weight, and according to WTF bylaws that Neha mentioned before, this is the scoring system that we decided to give. So what does the tool do? The tool pretty much measures each member from WTF, and according to what their score is, it allows them to a grade that WTF already established, which is if you get under 60%, you're a B. If you're 60 to 75, you're an A. If you're 75 to 90, you're a double A. And if you're 90 to 100, you're a triple A category. So pretty much this is how the tool performs. So what we're presenting to you is a tool that allows to measure each member from WTF, and according to their scoring system, you will be graded. Now, I want to clarify that what we are presenting is a proposal. Ideally, this would have to be aligned. The criteria chosen would have to be aligned according to WTF needs, goals, and objectives. Now, what we are presenting is just a tool that pretty much allows you to measure and evaluate each member. And like any system, this can also be adapted later. So now I'm going to hand to Jisoo how this tool will have its maintenance and management. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlen. Now the question is, how can you apply this ranking tool? A good implementation strategy will be a key factor for its success. So I'm going to talk about the prerequisites to consider. Before moving on, I would just say that this implementation plan is our suggestion, and the WTF is to decide how to put it in the further action. So firstly, the WTF will need to have a strong measure to really push it forward. It should be specified clearer in its statutes, which is not really saying specifically yet what MNAs have to do to keep their membership level in regards of this new ranking system. Secondly, technical simplification. WTF has recently developed a web-based platform of the GMS, the Global Membership System. So our ranking module can be simply developed and merged into the content management system inside the GMS. So it could, so creating a new website or some kind of application system may be an option, but using the existing user-friendly platform will be the fastest and the least expensive way, and also its users would feel more comfortable and less burdened. Thirdly, dedicated resources will be required. it doesn't mean only the financial resources to activate this project, but also the human ones in charge of the continuous operation and maintenance. So how to implement it? So we are proposing that this ranking model should undergo the test period in the fourth quarter of this year. And in the meantime, developing the web-based tool as well as the educational materials should get started. Through the test, we will get a meaningful number of feedbacks which can be reflected on this ranking tool before its full implementation. So this ranking model will be basically run on the annual basis. Ideally next year, after the official announcement of this ranking tool, the education for its actual users should follow. And these actual users are supposed to be the current GMS administrators from each MNAs who are already familiar with this system. And after this educational period, the actual launching of this once it starts getting input from MNAs, there will be lots of communication and support demanded by the MNAs, and an assigned step or a team should be following up their requests, and then for the final quarter of the year, the WTF will be moved on to the process of the data analysis and evaluation and final ranking. So in terms of maintenance, just like in implementation, I referred a lot to my own best practice from Special Olympics, which has already developed a very similar model for their national federations in 2005. It was very well developed and easy web-based tool, even 10 years ago. And at that time, national federations were very reluctant to respond to this new evaluation system. And 1 year after its launching, the response rate was quite far below expectations. So Special Olympics International did some kind of research and realized what was the real problem. The national federations were hardly motivated without knowing anything about the benefits and from this new thing. So Special Olympics International quickly changed the direction and restarted providing the free education and promoting the new evaluation system. And still it took about 2 years to get it fully implemented. And for most of the international headquarters, the verifying whether the data is reliable or not is certainly one of the most difficult issues to handle. So, to achieve the best result, it will be a real challenge for WTF to have to find a way on how to secure the reliable data from all over the world. Finally, the communications. So, as I mentioned before, again, in the beginning stage, the communications are really important. It is so important to proact and react and communicate very actively with its stakeholders like MNAs and contractor unions in order to maintain it for a long-term perspective. So to wrap it up, we really would like this ranking tool to contribute to the stronger governance of M&As. But at the same time, the WTF will be able to have a broad understanding of the M&A's overall situation and strengths and weaknesses, which will ultimately help so gaining more insight and building the good strategies for the development of the Taekwondo movement. Thank you for your attention, and we are open to your questions.